Let me tell you about this little goldfish pond tank situation I have, because I get asked about it quite a bit, and I'll walk you through how we made it. It's very, very DIY, very redneck, so prepare yourself for that. This little pond sits smack dab in the middle of this cut flower space, but this sits in the center. And as you can see, there are water lilies growing in it. I got them bare root off of Amazon and they have been awesome. I have a yellow one and a pink one. I quite prefer the yellow one, to be honest. The pink one's pretty, but yellow is my favorite color. And this little goldfish tank situation, it freezes, I mean, like darn near to the bottom of the tank, or it did this past winter. The water lilies are fine. I think they're like a zone 5, hardy down to zone 5, and I'm an 8B. So there's nothing that our winters can really throw at these that would harm them. And in this water, there's about 30 goldfish. I think I bought a bag of 30. And they were real little when I got them. Now they're bigger, and the goldfish have no problem overwintering here. Like, these are not something that I refresh every season. The goldfish go into a kind of torpor when it's really cold. When the water's really cold, they just kind of like suspended animation, and then they perk back up when the water warms up again in the spring. I mean, I don't know. But as far as the structure of the tank itself, let me show you what it is made of. It is honestly so covered in vines that I don't know how to get down in here and show you all this. Okay. Can you see? Well, you can definitely see the poison ivy, but this is the tank itself, and it's plastic. It's one of those big water catch agricultural tanks, and we sawed the top off. There's the top, the lip right there. And we did that because the top was cracked and we still wanted to put it to use. And I always wanted a water type feature in the center of this cut flower space with fish in it. So we cut the top of it off. The bottom also had a hole, and I think we patched it with laminate flooring or an industrial adhesive that was going to be waterproof. And we just sealed it up that way. It's done really well. It's held up really well. And I think one of the reasons it has held up really well is because there's a hay ring laid over it. You can see the hay ring right there. That's what all this metal is that's laying around that is around it. It's completely encircling it. And on the hay ring, I have a ruby moon purple hyacinth bean vine. What a mouthful. Growing around it just to kind of hide the exterior of the tank. That was why we put this hay ring around it. Not only that, but the dogs really like to, before this vine was grown up, put their hands on the edge of the plastic and drink from it. And I didn't want them continuously flexing it or even getting in it. Our border collies are kind of known for that, for loving water. They would get in this if they could, but this vine is using the hay ring as support to grow around it. And this thing, look how big. I grew it from seed, and it has just done so well. I love the hyacinth vine because of the way these flowers shoot straight up. They look really cool. I really like them. And I can save these bean pods for next year once they mature. Allegedly, these are really poisonous, so maybe don't think about eating them. Are these ready to go yet? Let's take a look in this one. Got us a little bean. That's cool. I got more great plant deals over the weekend. I snagged several more Buddleja or butterfly bush, and we are going to put those into a flower bed that really needs some help. Let me show you. Okay, here we are. Some of the things in this flower bed are looking really nice, and some of them are obviously looking really rough. And the roughness is caused by a few things. That is a red pillar, which is a proven winners, and I snipped a lot of the blooms off. There you go, if you want to screenshot that for later. I'll put a picture of what it looks like full grown up on the screen so that you can see. But I really wanted something very tall and skinny with vertical interest right here. And it's not doing well, and it's getting eaten on, and I'm truly and sincerely just, as always, I'm not worried about it. These. Y'all might recognize these as Shasta daisies. They hate it here. And I have tried for a couple of years to get them to like it here. They won't. They're not having it. I'm going to rip them out. These pentas still look good though. And I have butterflies on these on a pretty much constant basis. We got our rosemary right here. This is a hardy hill. It's looking good. But the real problem are these Caryopteris. And I have been unhappy with their performance in this flower bed this year. And I was doing some reading on them, and it sounds like Caryopteris in some zones can tend to be much more short-lived. They're a subshrub. They're not a true woody shrub, but they're also not an herbaceous perennial. My goodness, I'm tongue-tied this morning. So these have been in this space for a couple years, and I have noticed a significant decline in them. And once I started kind of looking into it and reading that they do start to decline after a couple of years and don't look as good as they did when they were young plants. And some plants are just like that. They have a much shorter lifespan, right? I was thinking about the other Caryopteris that I have in my garden, and that the older they are, they're not one of those things that get better with time. They're like one of those things that get worse with time. So they're looking really rough. They are afflicted by pests right now. They're chlorotic. They're not blooming in the way that they should be at this time of year. We're gonna take them out. It's likely that they've laid down some new growth. We'll propagate that. We'll save that. I'll show you how I do that before we rip them out. But before we take them out, I want to show you what a Caryopteris is supposed to look like this time of year, because I have one that's blooming really well, and the bumblebees absolutely love it. And I love Caryopteris. Even if this does turn out to be the pattern that I have to keep up with, like every 3 or 4 years, replace them with a new plant, it's not going to bother me at all. They're exceptionally easy to propagate, and they're worth it. Look at this. Here's our Caryopteris when it's looking like what it's supposed to look like. And you can see and hear the bees absolutely love Caryopteris. Let me get on in close to these blooms where they're not so blown out by the light. And Caryopteris come in all kinds of cultivars. There's like Bluebeard, Blue Night, Dark Night, I think is even one. They've bred them to be all kinds of sizes, leaf colors, bloom colors, things like that. But overall, Caryopteris is a really, really tough, for a couple years anyway, shrub. For me, where I'm at in Texas, is pretty much unbothered until it starts to weaken later on in its life. Keep growing it. I'm not disappointed in the fact that I have to tear a couple out at all, because I have good replacements of what to put there. That makes parting ways with them very easy. I was trying to be really still so that y'all could see this hummingbird that's visiting this yucca. But I'll show you this area anyway, because my kidney wood is in full bloom, and it just smells so good. This is the red yucca that our hummingbirds very fiercely protect. And here's my kidney wood. Oh, also, since we're by the kidney wood, here are those suncatchers, the helianthus that we planted a couple of videos ago. They have done nothing but bulk up and just get covered in buds. Look at them. They are so happy. I'm overrun by them sunflower patch right there. Them and their babies have been eating everything that I own. Let me try to get a good shot on these blooms. Pretty much anything that can fly visits this kidney wood. It's such a fun tree. It smells absolutely glorious. To me, it smells like a tangerine, and it smells up this whole side of the yard. It gets covered in pollinators. It's a native. I was corrected online the other day and was told that it's not a tree, it's a shrub. Okay, I grow it as a tree, not as a shrub. It's like a center point for this flowerbed. And yeah, it does grow kind of wild, like not like a traditional tree would grow with a lot of structure to it, but I love it this way. It's like a multi-trunk tree. I'll continue to prune it and grow it this way because I really like that look. Okay, I'm gonna tear into this flower bed. I'll record some of it for y'all, but honestly, I find that kind of stuff boring. And then I'll show you what we're gonna replace all the plants that I take out with. Okay, before I rush through pulling these Caryopteris out, and this is what I mean by they don't look well, right? They're not blooming as profusely as they should this time of year. They're yellow. They're not happy, but this Caryopteris does tend to lay down on the ground and send out roots and make new plants. And that's a lot of what's going on down in here. That's not a plant I planted. These are just limbs of the Caryopteris that have lain down and made a new plant. There's another good example. Y'all see that? And we have a new little plant. So I just find where most of the roots are. I'm gonna come over here, cut it from behind, and grab our little plant out. Like this. Boom. So we have it all cleared out. I took out all the Shasta daisies. Not sad to see them go. They drove me absolutely insane. They never looked good and they never really bloomed all that much. I think it just is too hot. There's our red pillar. It's obviously staying. Here's where all of our Caryopteris were. There they are now. They were monsters. And I did feel bad about it because I truly love the Caryopteris. Here's some Rocky Mountain penstemon that I had started from seed a couple years ago. It never did well. It always had borers. We're just way outside of its range. It doesn't appreciate our humidity whatsoever, so it was always sick. The flowers were really pretty when it did bloom, but it was just never doing what it should, which is just, you know, that's experimenting for you. This is the pile of good ones that I wanted. And I think what I would like to do is a little bit of Caryopteris surgery. And I have this dead spot where a sage recently bit it. I don't know why. Sometimes plants just do that in August and there's no helping it. I'm gonna put it right here. I'm gonna cut it back really hard and I'm gonna put it right here where this sage was. And maybe it'll be happy here. We'll see. You know, gardening is about experimenting, right? Let's try it. Okay, this sage, or what's left of it, is what needs to go. This was this. I don't know. It's possible it's not getting enough sun, or maybe, well, it might be too much water. It ate this drip line, my goodness. In any case, I got tired of looking at how sad it was, so it's all gonna come out of here because it looks kind of messy. I don't like how this looks. And honestly, I'm not a big cooking with herbs kind of person. There isn't a single herb out here that I cut and cook with. I'm just tearing these apart into smaller pieces because if I'm working in this bed, oh my gosh, I throw everything behind this almond verbena and it'll just break down. No turtles here this morning. Usually there's turtles hanging out here in the morning next to this water dish. Dang, this soil's good. This is real good. Here's our little dudes. And I'm not gonna, obviously I have several plants here. I'm not going to be super diligent about, you know, giving each one its own planting hole. I'm probably just gonna put them all back in the exact same space together. I'm cutting them back really hard so that they don't have any of this foliage to support. And in any case, this is not gonna look like a good healthy plant until next year if it survives. What I'm doing to it, it's just kind of a crapshoot. And I'm trying to get the growth that's rooted up here near the top of the plant. That really young growth. I don't really want to mess with anything that's down there. That's the kind of growth that we were trying to get away from, you know. That really old stuff. Weaker than that new, fresh growth. And I'm just placing these so that they have some soil contact and along a drip line. And I'm gonna really lightly cover them with soil so that they stay in place. And I don't have it with me right now, but I will in just a second. I'll come back by with the root and grow and really saturate this. There's what we look like now. All of the little roots that it was putting out are in contact with the soil surface, and I left the green stuff sticking out, and I cut it back really, 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 really hard. Here's what we're going to replace our Caryopteris with. Look at, oh, let me move out of their way. This is a Buddleja called Chrysalis Blue, and it's a zone, the tag is not saying it, but it's hardy down to zone 5. All Buddlejas are really cold hardy. If you live in a really cold part of Texas, like the Panhandle, it will probably die all the way back down to the ground every single year. Whereas if you're in a warmer place, it might stay more of a shrub shape and grow back from last season's growth. For almost all the Buddleja I have, I take them down to the ground every year anyway because I find that's how they flower best. But I got these on a super deal at HEB, one in Mansfield. I got these, and these are extremely healthy, ready to go. They're discounted. Oh look, I got a little portulaca in there, a freebie. These are discounted because it's the end of the season and because of the way they look, and because a lot of grocery stores are trying to get fall display stuff in there right now, so they're discounting things that they know that people are going to pass by just based on how tired they look. And yeah, of course they're tired. They've been in these pots all year, but now we're going to have an opportunity to get them in the ground. I am going to go ahead and plant them today, but if you get something like a Buddleja and you don't want to plant it yet, you want to wait until spring, I'm an 8B, and if this is a zone 5, it is completely and totally doable for me to overwinter it in these pots. They'll be just fine outside. They can freeze, they can do whatever, and they'll come back, because typically the rule of thumb is that you want to overwinter. If you're going to overwinter something, have it be 2 zones lower than yours. So I can get away with overwintering things that are zone 6 and below in a pot, right? Plants' roots are much more susceptible to significant damage and death when they're in a pot. They're not being insulated by anything. They're completely exposed to elements. So that's kind of the rule of thumb there. I could very easily do that with these, but I want to go ahead and get them going in the ground. They're blooming right now in their pots, so we could put these in the ground and probably see some blooms and some color on them this fall. Okay, here we are. There's 3 of them. Oh, speak of the devil. Recognize these? These are all little Caryopteris babies that I saved like February or something when I was cutting them back really hard. I had all these little babies that had laid down, made roots, and here they are. I told y'all I was a plant saving maniac. So I still have 5 on deck. No, 6 on deck should I need them. I don't right this second, and they'll overwinter fine. They're having no problems. They're even trying to bloom. Okay, so we have 5 to work with here. And I would like for them to be a band of that beautiful blue color right through here, because I have echinacea over there, which is pink. It's bloomed out. That's an evergreen rosemary. It's a hardy hill. She's looking really good. Struggled when I first put it in the ground, but looking really nice now. That's a red pillar, which will be more pink. They're calling it a red pillar, but to me, it's much more corally. It's not a true red. I don't really even like red in the flower bed. And then this beautiful peach flamacanthus. So I think this purplish blue color will be really good. Here's a close-up of the color of the bloom. So if I have 5 and they get, what do these get, 4x4? No, 22 inches wide. Way off. If I had one here, 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 and here. Yeah, I like that. Okay, we can't forget our root and grow. And like I always tell y'all, I'm not making money off of showing this to you guys in every video, but I have found it to be such a good addition when putting a plant in the ground for the first time to reduce transplant shock and help it get established much more quickly. Look at these, look at our ajuga from the other day. Like, look at this. I planted this in the middle of August and it went into a full bloom. And this was just barely even budded up when I put it in. And it's been a week. I've been staying on top of watering it and stuff. And it was looking kind of stressed out, but look at that. Isn't that wild? But basically the deal is Root and Grow has root stimulator in it. It has a hormone in it called IBA that encourages root production and helps settle a plant into its home much more quickly. And when you're planting plants in August, like I am, you need every advantage you can get, because sometimes you can start with a really, really healthy plant, keep it watered as much as you want, but it just can't handle being introduced to such severe heat and the stress of being put into a new environment. So while we have our container of Root and Grow, we'll make sure that we saturate our Caryopteris. We won't need much for this project besides this little hand spade. It should be really easy digging in here. This soil is really good. And I don't need to cut them back because it honestly looks like whoever was caring for these plants at the HEB in Mansfield knows what they're doing, because it looks like they've been cut back a little bit, given like a little mid-season chop to maybe try to produce some more flowers. And they're just not happy. They're not looking as big and as beautiful as you would want them to look for someone paying full price for a plant. They just weren't moving, so get a little discount for me. This pillar should bloom, you know, through early summer, through a frost next year. It's an Althea, and Althea are exceptionally tough. And the pillar is a really good choice if you need something that's just very tall and skinny, which is good for right here because this flower bed doesn't need another shrub in it. I'm so happy to get rid of these Shasta daisies. They were on my last nerve. This hole right here, every hole that I've been digging in, I don't know if y'all can tell. More Caryopteris root. I don't know if y'all can tell from the camera, but every hole that I've been digging in this flower bed has been really, really wet. And we did just get a rain, and I was thinking that's what was going on, but this right here is bone dry. Bone dry. So we're gonna need to keep an extra close eye on it. And after I'm done talking to y'all, I'll probably get the hose and water it in even more, just so that I can feel good about this one. Everything else was going in with wet root ball, wet planting hole. I mean like mud planting hole. But this is very dry. I'll come back by and adjust all the drip in here. Y'all don't want to watch that. That's boring. And that's it. Next year, this will be really, really pretty. It may look sad right now, but you know what? That's how flower beds go. Especially perennial flower beds. That is the name. Patience is the name of the game when it comes to these perennial flower beds, but the payoff is the investment is so worth it. That is gonna do it for today. I hope y'all have a great week, and I'll see y'all next time.